In View, we have two different types of infinite planes. And if we go up to our top button over on the left of our Objects panel, and we right mouse click, we can see that we actually have three options, although our last option, which is adding a cloud layer, is not an infinite plane. So we can look at the first, and we have Add Water, Add a Ground Plane, and you'll also notice that we already have a ground plane in our scene, which is by default added. And then, of course, the cloud layer, which will allow us to directly add a cloud plane into our atmosphere editor. So let's take a look at our clouds right here. We can right mouse click, go to Add Cloud Layer, and it's going to ask us to select a cloud. I'm just going to select Low Clouds, and we can see that it automatically loads it into the atmosphere editor. So that is not actually an infinite plane, but it is within our other tools, because in previous versions of View there was an infinite plane where we could add a cloud layer, but it works a little bit differently now in the newer version, but that's still in there to access and add layers to. Now we're going to go to the front one, which is water. Go ahead and select that, and we can add an infinite plane of water. Now with any infinite plane, they of course go on for an infinite amount of area within the scene. So no matter where we move in our scene, these infinite planes will always be in the same position. As long as we don't move them or animate them, they will stay in the same place. Now we can edit water a couple of different ways, and if we double click on our water preview up here, we can do a number of different things. We can go to our transparency, and under fading out we can adjust whether we want it to be clear water or murky water. We can even adjust our fade out color and light color, and then of course refraction, and if we go over to reflection, we can add a little bit of reflection to that water so it reflects our sky. And we can also load in different water types, which we can do just by double clicking on this preview and then selecting the liquids preset folder, which will allow us to view all the different water types that are available. And we could create a number of different types of effect, but and we also have our default water in the front. And I'm just going to close out of this. But we can actually edit this water however we want. We could use the function editor to edit our bump production map and change the water up a little. We can also animate the material on surface z equals time, which is going to give us a nice water animation. It does look very realistic when you're trying to make quick animated water. I'm going to go ahead and delete this water plane, and you can see that we have our ground plane, which works the same way as a water infinite plane. And to tell you the truth, infinite planes, both types, water and ground, are actually the exact same object. They just have different surfaces applied to them. And of course the names are different within the layer panel on the right. But essentially we could use a ground plane and load in a liquid preset, the default water, and now we have a infinite water plane. So they're the exact same type of object, it's just dependent on the material that's added to that object.